The invasion of Yugoslavia, also known as the April War, or Operation 25, was a German-led attack on the Kingdom of Yugoslavia by the Axis powers, which began on the 6th of April 1941 during World War II. The order for the invasion was put forward in Directive No. 25. The invasion was spearheaded by the German Second Army, with elements of the 12th Army, 1st Panzer Group, and an independent Panzer Corps combined with overwhelming Luftwaffe support. The 19 German divisions included 5 panzer divisions, 2 motorized infantry divisions and 2 mountain divisions. The German force also included 3 well-equipped independent motorized infantry regiments, and was supported by over 750 aircraft. The Italian Second Army and Ninth Army committed a total of 22 divisions and 666 aircraft to the operation. The Hungarian Third Army also participated in the invasion, with support available from over 500 aircraft. Germany attacked Yugoslavia from bases in 3 countries besides itself: Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria. German troops entered each of these countries under different pretenses and at different times. The first country to receive a German military mission was Romania, ostensibly to train the Romanian armed forces. Its real purpose was to protect Romania's petroleum resources and prepare for an attack on the Soviet Union. The Wehrmacht entered Bulgaria more circumspectly, first with the intention of providing aerial defense against any force attacking Romania's oil fields, and later with that of invading Greece in support of Italy. German troops did not enter Hungary until the attack on Yugoslavia was already planned and Hungary's participation had been secured. The first phase encompasses the Luftwaffe's devastating air assault on Belgrade and airfields of the Royal Yugoslav Air Force of the 6th of April, and an initial thrust of the German Panzer Corps from Bulgaria towards Skopje, that commenced the same day. This was followed by the assault of the German 14th Panzer Corps from Bulgaria towards Ni on the 8th of April. On the 10th of April, for more thrusts struck the Yugoslav Army, the 41st Panzer Corps from Romania towards Belgrade, the 46th Panzer Corps from Hungary across the Drava, the 51st Infantry Corps from Austria towards Zagreb, and the 49th Mountain Corps from Austria towards Selj. By the end of that day, the Yugoslav army was disintegrating, and was in retreat or surrendering right across the country. With the exception of the forces on the Albanian frontier, Italy and Hungary joined the ground offensive on the 11th of April. The Italian part in the ground offensive began when their Second Army attacked from northeastern Italy, towards Ljubljana and down the Dalmatian coast, meeting virtually no resistance. On the same day, the Hungarian Third Army crossed the Yugoslav border, and advanced toward Novi Sad, but like the Italians, they met no serious resistance. On the 12th of April, German troops captured Belgrade, and Ljubljana fell to the Italians. On 14 and the 15th of April, King Peter and the government flew out of the country, and the Yugoslav Supreme Command was captured by the Germans near Sarajevo. The surrender was signed on the 17th of April and came into effect at noon on the 18th of April. The British, Greek and Yugoslav high commands intended to use Ni as the linchpin in their attempts to wear down German forces in the Balkans, and it is for this reason that the locality was important. When the Germans broke through in this sector, a sector which was essential if stability was to be maintained on the front, the Yugoslav Supreme Command committed numerous forces from its strategic reserves, including the 2nd Cavalry Division, but these were harassed by the Luftwaffe during transit to the front, and did not get through in any real quantities. Having reached Ni from its initial attacks from Bulgaria and broken the Yugoslav defenses, the German 14th Motorized Corps headed north in the direction of Belgrade. The German 46th Panzer Corps had advanced across the Slavonian plain, from Austria to attack Belgrade from the west, whilst the 41st Panzer Corps threatened the city from the north after launching its offensive drive from Romania and Hungary. By the 11th of April, Yugoslavia was crisscrossed by German armored columns, and the only resistance that remained was a large nucleus of the Yugoslav army around the capital. On the 11th of April, a German officer, Fritz Klingenberg, with few men, moved into Belgrade to reconnoiter the city. However, After some scattered combat with Yugoslav troops, they entered the center of the city, whereupon they bluffed about their size and incoming threats of bombardment. The city, represented by the mayor, surrendered to them at 1845 hours on the 12th of April. Later more forces moved to consolidate the position. While Romania did not take part in the actual invasion of Yugoslavia, it did provide artillery support for the German forces invading from its territory. Operating on orders from the 3rd Section of the Romanian General Staff, Romanian artillery opened fire against Yugoslav barges on the Danube on the 6th of April. Romanian and German units from the Romanian bank of the Danube repeatedly exchanged fire with Yugoslav forces between 6 and the 11th of April. The losses sustained by the German attack forces were unexpectedly light. During the 12 days of combat, the total casualty figures came to 558 men, 151 were listed as killed, 392 as wounded, and 15 as missing in action. During the 41st Panzer Corps drive on Belgrade, for example, the only officer killed in action fell victim to a civilian sniper's bullet. The Luftwaffe lost approximately 60 aircraft shot down over Yugoslavia, costing the lives of at least 70 aircrew. The Italian army took heavier casualties in northern Albania from the Yugoslav offensive. Their Italian casualties on all fronts during the invasion amounted to some 800, killed and 2,500 wounded, whilst the Italian Air Force lost approximately 10 aircraft shot down, with a further 22 damaged. The Hungarian army suffered some 350 casualties, 120 killed, 223 wounded and 13 missing in action from the shelling by Yugoslav riverine forces of its frontier installations, and in its attacks upon the Yugoslav frontier forces in Vojvodina, with 1/4 of a Hungarian parachute battalion becoming casualties when a transport aircraft filled with 30 troops went down during an abortive drop. On the 12th of April, the Hungarians also lost 5 Fiat fighters and 1 Weiss WM-21 Selim reconnaissance aircraft during the fighting. The Germans took between 254,000 and 345,000 Yugoslav prisoners, excluding a considerable number of ethnic Germans and Hungarians who had been conscripted into the Yugoslav army and who were quickly released after screening, and the Italians took 30,000 more. The Axis victory was swift. As early as the 14th of April, the Yugoslav High Command had decided to seek an armistice and authorized the army and army group commanders to negotiate local ceasefires. That day the commanders of the 2nd and 5th Armies asked the Germans for terms but were rejected. Only unconditional surrender could form the basis for negotiations, they were told. That evening, the High Command sent an emissary to the headquarters of the 1st Panzer Group to ask for armistice, and in response General von Kleist sent the commander of the 2nd Army, von Weichs, to Belgrade to negotiate terms. He arrived on the afternoon of the 15th of April and drew up an armistice based on unconditional surrender. On the 16th of April, a Yugoslav delegate arrived in Belgrade, but as he did not have authority to sign the document, he was given a draft of the agreement, and an aircraft was placed at his disposal to bring in authorized representatives of the government. Finally, on the 17th of April, after only 11 days of fighting, the pre-coup foreign minister Aleksandar Sinkar Markovi and General Radivoj Jankovic signed the armistice, and unconditionally surrendered all Yugoslav troops. It came into effect the following day, the 18th of April at noon. At the signing, the Hungarians and Bulgarians were represented by liaison officers, but they did not sign the document because their countries were not officially at war with Yugoslavia. The Italian representative, Colonel Luigi Bonafati, signed the document after noting that the same terms are valid for the Italian army. After the surrender, Yugoslavia was subsequently divided amongst Germany, Hungary, Italy and Bulgaria. Germany took control of most of Serbia, while Ante-Paveli, leader of the fascist USTAE, proclaimed the establishment of the NDH before the invasion was even over. Croatia was actually under the joint control of Germany and Italy. Once the Soviets fully entered the war on the side of the Allies on the 22nd of June 1941, the Yugoslav partisans under Josip Tito also began to fight the Axis powers, and from then on there was continuous resistance to the occupying armies in Yugoslavia until the end of the war. While in the beginning both Yugoslav partisans and the Chetniks engaged in resistance, the partisans became the main resistance force after. Following Churchill's lead, at the Tehran Conference on the 28th of November, the 1st of December 1943, British and American governments withdrew all allegiance and support from Mihailovich's Royal Yugoslav Army Chetniks, and gave all further assistance to the communist partisans, who waged a continuous civil war against Mihailovich's forces. In the end, devoid of all outside assistance, Mihailovich's Royal Yugoslav Army was overcome in Serbia by a combination of well-armed, supported, and supplied partisans and the invading Soviets. Some scholars have proposed a number of theories for the Royal Yugoslav Army's sudden collapse, including poor training and equipment, generals eager to secure a quick cessation of hostilities, and a sizable Croatian, Slovenian and German fifth column. Others state that the fifth column had little effect on the ultimate outcome of the invasion. According to Tomasevic, the insistence of the Yugoslav army on defending all the borders assured its failure from the start. Historian Ilksa Yalis states that Croatian desertion is overplayed, as many Croatian units actively fought the Germans, and most Croatian officers remained loyal until the 10th of April, when the NDH was proclaimed, which brought an end to Yugoslavia and in turn, their loyalty to the government. He adds that the army simply reflected the weak Yugoslav political system, and the main reasons for the defeat were the lack of leadership, the army's subpar equipment and outdated tactical and strategical techniques. Many Serbian nationalists blamed the loss on fifth columnist Croats, who stood to gain from Italian and German rule, ignoring the primary failure of the Yugoslav army and its almost entirely Serbian leadership. Many Croatian nationalists blamed Belgrade politicians and the inadequacy of the Serbian-dominated army.